How much money do I make as a doctor in rural Australia? Honestly, I was hesitant to make this video. It always feels a little bit exposing to talk about money as a doctor. And it's definitely one of those taboo subjects, especially in healthcare, when you're supposed to be seen as someone who's doing it for the love, someone who's doing it to help others, not doing it for the money. But one of the reasons I'm doing this, I remember when I was back in the NHS, working in the UK, it was actually one of these type of videos made by Ali Abdaal, my hero, my inspiration. It was one of these Payslip revealed videos which really changed the entire direction of my life. And I've always really respected Ali Abdaal for his transparency, his honesty. And I do agree with him, and I genuinely believe that money shouldn't be this taboo subject that we dance around, that it should be an open discussion so people know what they're getting themselves into or what they can expect when they're going down certain career paths. This is my version, how much I made in a week as a rural emergency locum doctor. Gross pay, take home, super, trade-offs, the reality, all of that stuff. And yes, my mum is going to be pissed that I filmed this video. She's going to see this and immediately draft a strongly worded WhatsApp to me, which is fine because I hope this helps anyone making career decisions, for people thinking of moving to Australia, plus people who already work in Australia as doctors and are considering working rurally. Like I said, it feels uncomfortable sharing this, it feels exposing, but I think the positives of helping people and answering questions outweighs the negatives of me feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So with that being said, let's do this. So firstly, I'm what they call a locum doctor. And if you don't know what a locum doctor is, it's basically hospitals can't fill their rosters, so they need doctors to come in and fill gaps. You choose when and where you work, and the money is usually higher, but it does mean you parachute into random hospitals around the country. And the rate I'm about to show you is about middle ground for what someone my level with my training experience can make. I'm PGY 8, which means I'm 8 years out of medical school, but you can start earning this kind of money at around PGY 3 to 4 in Australia. And just to clarify, I'm not on a training pathway, I'm not a specialist, I'm not fellowed, I'm not board certified. There's all these different terms in different countries, but basically I'm not a consultant. I'm essentially an undifferentiated stem cell of a doctor. All right, let's get to the numbers because that's what you clicked for. I've removed the exact dates, but this is a week I worked earlier in the year. I did 7 shifts in a row. So you can see down here, Monday to Sunday. Each day I did 10 hours. So that's a total of 70 hours that week. And that was at a rate of $150 per hour. So 70 hours times $150 per hour equals $10,500. Now that's a total gross earnings, which is all taxable. And then they took off $3,634 for tax, which is roughly about 35%. So then the take home after tax is $6,866. And on top of that, $1,260 went into my superannuation, which is basically the Australian version of pension or retirement savings account. And I'm not going to tell you the exact location in Australia this was, but I will tell you the state, which was New South Wales. And one of the benefits of working in New South Wales is that they pay you your super on top of your salary rather than taking it off your salary. So I've done a lot of locums in Queensland, and if they quote you a rate of $150 an hour, they will take off your super from that rather than adding it on top like New South Wales. And I don't live there, I just fly in and then fly out. So they pay for flights, they pay for accommodation. You have to pay for your own food. Some places you go to will give you a rental car. This particular one didn't, but they put you in accommodation, which is close enough to the hospital, so you can just walk. And in fact, I have done locums where I've had to pay for my own rental car, so it's come off my wage. Those are a bit annoying. And of course, when you're doing this fly in, fly out stuff, you're not paid for travel days. And because I had to take 2 flights to get there, that's essentially 2 days either side of traveling, which you're not paid for. In terms of accommodation, that can be hit or miss. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's terrible. And I've stayed in places that have made me want to sleep in my car instead. And it's intense. Doing 70 hours condensed into 1 week, which is quite typical when you do these locum jobs because you want to do as many hours as you can in a short amount of time, rather than flying somewhere random and then spreading out your hours over multiple weeks. You may as well just condense it so then you can go back home and enjoy more time off. But 70 hours in a week is pretty brutal. You're essentially condensing 2 weeks work into 1. Yeah, you get a week off after, but the week off is me horizontal, questioning my life choices. Other things to note, as a locum, you don't get the perks of being a full-time doctor. You don't get paid annual leave, you don't get sick leave, no study leave. no job security. If I don't work, I don't get paid. Simple as that. And remember, this is just my personal experience. This is not what every doctor gets paid. I'm a locum doctor, I'm a casual, I fill in roster gaps. And I would say this rate of $150 per hour is the middle of the road for someone of my level and my training experience. I have a couple of requirements when I do these jobs. Firstly, I don't do night shifts and I try not to do in-charge shifts. I have ended up doing in-charge, not by choice, just by necessity sometimes. But my colleagues who are the same level as me and are willing to do nights, willing to do these in-charge shifts, so they're running the emergency department, maybe there's a consultant on standby or something, the rates are usually a lot higher, often above $200 per hour. I know some of my friends who've made up to $300 per hour. And remember, these aren't consultants, these are just non-specialized doctors like myself. Having said that, to consultants who have specialized, this isn't even shocking money. They can make as much, if not a lot more, without having to fly into the middle of nowhere. Although if I was back in the UK, what I'm earning now is probably what I'd expect to earn as a consultant in the UK. And do you have to fly into the middle of rural Australia to locum? No, there are plenty of locum opportunities in the city. The only thing is they do tend to pay a little bit less because obviously there's a higher supply, so less demand, so less pay. Rates usually go around 120, sometimes about 100, depending how popular they are. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you appreciate the transparency. If it helps doctors who are considering Australia, or maybe even considering doing rural work, then it's done its job. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and maybe it will encourage some doctors to consider the rural doctor work, which at the end of the day is good for the hospitals that struggle to get cover, which in turn is good for the patients in these rural towns that often don't see doctors for many weeks and months. And to follow this video up, I was kind of considering doing a creator versus doctor income breakdown video. If that's something that you'd be interested in, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week.